the Optimal Dynamics Planning System, creating new opportunities. So here I have my set of drivers and loads. This is my asset-based fleet. I'd like to create the best opportunities. One way to expand the set of opportunities, I could go to a brokerage division or load board and flood the system with a lot of loads to choose from, but this really wouldn't be very productive. I've still got to cover the loads I've committed to, and what I really want to do is just identify the most profitable loads out there. So what I can do is divide these into different groups. I'd really like to identify not only the loads that are most profitable, but where my drivers will be in position to actually move them. In other words, they work for the drivers as well as being profitable. Now, a lot of times to commit to these loads, I might be offered a load to be moved on Friday, but I have to say yes or no today. In other words, I've got to plan out in the future and think about which of these loads might be in good position, not just being profitable for the fleet, but I might actually have a driver there to cover it. So here's a situation. Let's say today's Monday, and I've got a load moving from Kansas to Virginia on Wednesday. What I'm going to do is a series of simulations. And in this first scenario, I simulate the gold driver doesn't get near it, nor does the blue driver, but the green driver does. A few days out, it looks like he's right in position that he can move the load. Now, in another scenario, the blue driver covers it. In the third scenario, the green driver covers it. The fourth scenario, nobody gets near it. It just doesn't work for any of these drivers. The fifth scenario, back to the gold driver, can cover it. So in this particular example, 4 out of the 5 scenarios, I was able to cover it. And what we might do is decide that looks pretty good. At Optimal Dynamics, we actually do 20 scenarios. We'll do 20 individual simulations, dispatching our drivers out in the future. So let's say a particular load I covered 18 out of 20 times. That's a 90% probability. I might say looks pretty good. 90% of the time, the load looked profitable and I had a driver to cover it. So here's an actual data set where I have a number of loads. 5,000 of them just never get covered, but all the rest get covered with some probability. What I may do, and there's 10,000 with a probability that's not 0 or not 1. Now, I may want to say, look, anything over 80% looks good. And what we can do is to say, so I can control how many loads I offer by picking that limit point. So whether it's 80% or 90% or 70%, I can control how many loads that I offer to my fleet. And so what we're going to do in this case is we're going to get it down to just these yellow loads. Now, if I put them in, and not necessarily I'm going to move all of them, but each one of these looks like a good opportunity, profitable. The drivers have a good possibility of liking it. And when I actually go to optimize, what I've got is another load to cover the drivers. Now all the drivers have something to do. I didn't pick both of the yellow loads, but I did pick one, and so that's an improvement. I've got a happy driver and a load that's adding profitability to the system.